Good afternoon to all of you. So today our introductory session is there, but before starting our this session, uh, 67th ranker, Mr. Parikar will discuss his strategies about general studies, and definitely it is going to help you throughout your preparation. Now.
My name is Miran Parikh and I've secured 67th rank in the civil services examination this time around. To give you a brief intro about the feeling that one gets after becoming an IAS is it's amazing. It's a bit surreal to tell you the reality, because it's the feeling that one gets when one achieves the dream which one has been working really hard for. And to see your name in the coveted list, and that too in the top 100, and contemplating the fact that you will be becoming an IAS is truly an amazing feeling. So what I tell you is, why I tell you this is that this is one thing which should motivate you while you're preparing. So what I tell you is that if you download the rank list which UPSC releases after the results, keep it as a wallpaper, or you can keep that PDF somewhere in your mobile. So whenever you'll be feeling bogged down, just have a glance at that list. So I think that will motivate you enough, and whenever you are depressed, you are anxious, just looking at that list will ensure that you will be motivated enough to again start reading. The second would be to give a brief introduction about myself. I'm an engineer, an electrical engineer, though I'm not a good one. I did my BTech in electrical engineering from Nirma University, Ahmedabad. Then I got placed with Ford Motor Company, and I was working there in Chennai for almost 2 years as a program buyer in purchasing department. I decided to take the plunge in the civil services examination in February 2016. I put down my papers on February 15th. I was preparing from my prelims from Ahmedabad itself, and then I came to Delhi for my mains and interview. I've taken coaching only for the political science, and I did the test series from over here, and this was my first attempt. So this was a bit about myself, and before starting this session, I'd like to tell you one thing, that recently there has been this flood of every single topper putting down their strategy, giving their course of preparation, and it might seem a bit imposing as far as you aspirants are concerned. So what my intention today is to not impose my strategy, because I believe every aspirant have their own strategy, and every strategy is correct and top notch for them, and it becomes a winning strategy once someone clears this examination. So no strategy is wrong as far as you don't clear this examination. So don't change your strategy 180 degree or completely just because I'm telling you. What my intention today would be that every strategy has some rough edges which you need to smoothen out to ensure that your strategy becomes perfect, so that you don't deviate from the path of this examination and your strategy or your course of preparation remains within the contours of this preparation. So that would be my intention. So to ensure that my strategy doesn't seem a bit imposing, I'll keep my portion of the talks to the minimum and give more time to the Q&As, because I believe that the personalized doubts that you have are more important. So if I'm in a position to resolve those doubts, you'll be feeling a bit more confident with your strategy. So I'll keep more time and listen to your questions rather than blabbering about my strategy. So that would be the session. And there are one or two caveats that I'd like to give before this session starts. First would be, I won't be sharing the book lists, because there has been many videos that you would find online where many other toppers more competent than I am have shared the general book list. So you can follow those. My advice as far as the book list is concerned, that stick to the basics. Basics means you stick with the NCRTs or Lakshmikant for Polity or Spectrum for Modern India. Follow one or two newspaper religiously, but keep it in a fact that your newspaper reading is exam oriented. No need to go after news which has no relevance with the examination. And follow one monthly compilation of any good classes which you find comfortable, and that pretty much is required as far as the book list for the preparation is concerned. So I won't be sharing the book list. And the second caveat would be that my strategy might sound a bit unconventional, because I had a bit of a limited time. So my intention initially was to ensure that I'd get an opportunity to write the mains. I had no intention, or my hopes weren't so high that I'll be getting an opportunity to attend the interviews and clear, let alone clearing the examination. So I ensured that my strategies were exam oriented. I ensured that whatever all I used to read, whatever I used to study would ensure that it fetched me maximum marks. I didn't care if it would add something into my knowledge, but I used to ensure that it could fetch me the maximum marks. So I request you to take it with a pinch of salt and should not take my strategies at face value. If my strategies or some of the points which I'll be covering today suits with your course of the preparation, only inculcate those, and you can reject the others which you find are a bit too unconventional for your way of preparation. I'll be dividing this session into two parts. First would be my portion, the second will be the questions and answers. In my portion, I'll first be dividing it into the three portions of the examination. First would be the prelims, the mains and the interviews. As far as the prelims is concerned, what I'd like to tell you is that the lesser material that you keep, the better it is, because the what I take this as is that you should keep a rural candidate in your mind while preparing for this examination, because I do sincerely believe that UPSC also wants candidates who are from rural background. They don't want candidates who attend classes in Delhi, who are rich or who can avail lot many materials. So always ensure that whatever all materials that a rural candidate has an access to, you should be looking for those materials. Supposedly, if I can say that a rural candidate has an access to the NCERT book, because those are the standard books, so go for it. They can have an access to newspapers, so go for it. Some of the other government documents, supposedly the second ARC report, the economic survey, the budget, so those all materials are something which a rural candidate has an accessibility to. So follow those materials and keep it to the minimum. The second would be just have a look at the last 5 years prelims question papers. ऐसा होना चाहिए कि रट्टा मान लो उसका. So what will happen is that once you read something, it should be on the back of your mind that okay, this was something that was asked in this year's prelims question paper. So okay, this is relevant to the prelims. So note those things down, because the overall content in a newspaper would be humongous. So you cannot read, write or understand every single thing. So only try to understand and grasp those things which you think would come in prelims. So have a look at the prelims question papers and memorize it, so that you have a basic idea about all those questions which can be or could be asked in the prelims the next year. So that pretty much sums up the prelims thing. For the mains, I would say that if prelims checks the depth of your knowledge or how widespread your knowledge is, mains checks the depth of your knowledge, whether you are able to analyze a particular question in a systematic manner, whether you are able to take a coherent point of view while answering a particular question. So once you have given the prelims, you'll have to come into a new mindset, which is the requirement of mains. So for mains, one or two advice that I'd like to give is that do as much writing practice as you can. And writing practice you should do for every single paper, but what I'd suggest is that you should focus more on essay, ethics and your optional, because there is a glass ceiling of sorts as far as GS 1, 2, 3 is concerned. You cannot score about a particular level in general studies, but sky is the limit as far as essay, ethics and your optional is concerned. So first focus on these three papers, and if you are confident enough that you will be in a position to write a good answer in these three papers, then focus much more on the other GS3 papers. But an initial and a thorough preparation for essay, ethics and your optional should be given, and it should not be sacrificed at the altar of these three GS 1, 2, 3 papers are concerned. For mains, the material would be diverse, because you can have a glance at any of the bookstores that you have in here. Go by the particular codes for the particular GS paper. If they've given up a subject, just go through one of the modules that you might find in the markets over here. See if you are able to adapt well to that particular material, if you can understand the contents of that material, and if you find that material has some of the contents which are relevant to the examination, then only go for that material. And in the GS papers, I can say that some of the lucrative topics would be internal security, because if you look at the course, almost 3 to 4 topics would be from internal security, 5 topics are from IR, 3 topics are from society, and the rest would be from modern history. So this 4-5 topics, if you cover in depth, chances are that the questions from this would definitely come and you'll be able to answer it well. The other portions which I think you should keep it at the last are culture, because the diversity of questions in culture would be huge and you won't be able to cover it all. So keep those topics which have lesser chances of a question arising at the last and focus on those topics which can fetch you the maximum marks. That's pretty much it. And for mains, join a good test series where the evaluation is good, which can give you an honest review about your answers, which can judge you whether you are able to write on a multi-dimensional basis. So join a good series, write as many tests as you can, and if you follow this, you'll be able to do wonders in mains. The third would be the interviews. Now, interview is a bit of a personalized experience. It varies from every single aspirant, but what I'd like you to say is that one of the pre-mains exercise for the interviews is the depth filling. So after you clear prelims and once you will be in a position to fill your depth, just take an expert advice, because what I felt when I was going through the mock interviews, when I was meeting other candidates, what I felt was that some of the hobbies that they would feel is something that they were not interested in. So this will lead to a kind of a situation where you'll be in a position to face something in the interview panel in which you don't have an interest into. So there are chances that people would fill up cricket as their hobby, but cricket is a very diverse field. They'll first ask you a question about that, what is the Duckworth-Lewis formula. Now even Duckworth-Lewis don't know what that formula is. So the wide range of questions that can come from sports will rattle you down in the interviews. So before you fill up your depth, take some expert opinion, consult any of the faculties in any of the classes that you go to, and then fill up your depth, because that will be your biodata. You and the interview panel have no relation earlier, so they'll judge you by the way you filled your depth. So the more professional your approach is towards the depth, it will be helpful to you in the interviews. Now once the result of the mains arrives, join some good mocks. I attended close to 6 or 7 mock interviews that will help you to overcome some of the challenges that you might face in the interview panels. Supposedly some of you might have a feeling that you will stammer while you speak, some of you might speak a bit fast, some of you might hesitate while speaking. So all those things you'll be able to overcome if you attend good mock interviews and work on those. It will also improve your knowledge base, because the interview can range from your personality as well as they'll ask you current affairs, something from your depth. So it's a holistic evolution of your overall personality. So attending as many mock interviews as you can would be truly helpful to you on the interview side. Now this was my strategy as far as the 3 stages of the examination is concerned. Now the next portion would be some of the lessons that I learned while traversing through this journey, and which I think you might also would face while you are going through this journey of UPSC preparation. So I'd like to call it my 5 Brahmastras, which I think would help you to overcome some of the anxieties that you might face. One would be that first would be that your rank in UPSC is inversely proportional to your knowledge. Now this might seem a bit ironical and a bit unconventional, but what I've felt is that the more you run after knowledge, the greater are the chances that you will get confused while attempting a paper. Because if you have tried to read much more material than NCERT's, for example, if history is concerned, what will happen in prelims is that there might be some conflicting options in prelims. But if you have read too many materials, you will get confused that, okay, this was something which I have read in NCERT, but you might face a contradictory statement of the same kind in some other books. So you will get confused in the prelims, and the kind of stress that one undergoes in the prelims, chances are you will bluff that out or you will tick something in anxiety and the question will go wrong. So keep it limited, be exam oriented, don't go after knowledge. If your friends are discussing something obscure which you think won't be helpful to you in the UPSC, just leave that discussion, because there would be many issues. Supposedly there's a beef issue going on, some political election issue that your friends would be discussing. Now that is not helpful to you as far as the examination is concerned. My optional was political science, but I can tell you that there's no political sensitive question that they'll ask even in the political science papers. Even if your optional is political science, there's no point in discussing or arguing facts or matters which aren't relevant in the examination. So don't waste your time on those questions, but focus only on the stuff or the knowledge which is exam relevant. The second would be now Harvey Specter, which I'm telling you, is a is a character from a series named Suits. I love that series. He's a corporate lawyer based out of New York, and he says this thing. Now this is the rule of poker, that in poker it's not the hand that you have that matters, it's how psychologically you're able to influence the guy in front of you that matters. So what I believe is that odds in this case of UPSC would be the books, and the man in this case would be the examination. So there's no point in going after books and books and books and telling that I'm not able to clear the examination. Just focus on the examination, take that into consideration, and only do those stuff which you think would fetch you the maximum marks in the examination. The third would be ruthlessness. Now the more ruthless you are, the better are the chances that you will be able to clear this examination. Now ruthlessness, I don't mean in a negative connotation, but what I used to do is that whenever I felt like not reading, or whenever I feel like that I'm bored or I'll be wasting some time, I'll keep one or two contemporaries of mine who will be preparing thoroughly on the back of my mind. So whenever I'll be wasting my time away, I'll think that okay, this is the guy who is my competitor. Now he'll be studying while I'm not. So if you have this kind of an attitude in your subconscious mind, you will be suddenly waking up from your boredom. You won't feel like wasting time. You suddenly rush to the reading table and you will start reading. So this kind of ruthlessness and attitude of any who clearing this examination is what matters, because I do believe that this examination is a vicious circle, a Chakravyuh challenge as the economic survey would quote, and your efforts should be to come out of this vicious circle. Because I do believe that the more you enjoy this journey, I'm not telling you not to enjoy, but the more involved you will feel in this journey, the more are the chances that you will become entrenched with this journey. You won't feel like that, okay, I don't want to come out of this journey, I'll keep on repeating it over and over again. So your journey is that kaam karo, padho, and nikal jao. There's no point moving into that circle over and over and over again, because the more attempts you will give, the more are the chances that your overall tempo or temperament for this examination will come down. So keep an attitude of clearing it in the first examination. Focus on coming out of this circle rather than staying into it. So that would be the third thing. The fourth would be that abstinence is the key. For the 1.5 years that I was preparing for this examination, I haven't opened up my Facebook account because Facebook has a psychological effect as far as your preparation is concerned. I'll tell you one law that what will happen is that you would have some friends who would have gone to US, who are doing a job, who will be roaming around at exotic locations, and what will happen is that no one puts up the sad moments on Facebook, so they'll put up a happy moment. Now this is their psychological level, the photo which they have posted on Facebook. Now you'll be sitting in Rajendra Nagar, staring down a book, following your own mundane monotonous lifestyle. So this is your level. So you're somewhat at a neutral level right now. Now you'll open up Facebook, you will see that okay, this friend of mine is roaming somewhere and I'm wasting away my life, I don't have anything to do, will I be able to succeed? So those kind of self-doubt will have a snowballing effect. So what will happen is that you will come down from the neutral stage, then you will again watch Facebook, some other friend's status will see, you will again come down. So this would be your anxiety level or depression level, and the more you use Facebook, the more are the chances that this will increase substantially. So it's better that you don't use Facebook. कोई दुनिया उधर से उधर नहीं होने वाली if you don't use Facebook. Facebook पे पहले भी दुनिया चलती थी. So if you want to use a messaging tool, use WhatsApp. I used to use only WhatsApp for sharing the essays that I wrote with a group of mine. We'd peer review it and get our views on that particular essay or the topic. So use only WhatsApp, but only for the constructive use. But I think if you want to succeed, this is my perspective, that if you want to succeed in this examination, you should definitely close up Facebook. So this is the fourth thing. And the fifth and last would be that practice yoga or meditation. I think the duration of this examination is long, and the chances of you getting depressed are higher. So the immense stress level, you have to study with concentration despite the immense stress level. So what I'd suggest is that doing yoga or meditation every single day. You can start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I used to do it for half an hour every single day. So what will happen is that you will feel relaxed, that you will be feeling one with yourself while you are preparing for this examination. So all these stress levels will slowly and steadily wash away, and you will be feeling a bit more focused, and your concentration will increase substantially whilst you are reading for this examination. So these 5 Brahmastras, I think, are something of the pearls of wisdom, you can say, or something which I have done while I was traversing through this journey. And I think it will be helpful to every single aspirant while you are preparing for this examination. And before wrapping up my part of this session and going for the Q&As, I like to tell just one thing, that hard work always pays. People say that, okay, you got lucky, but a hard-working person makes his own luck. There's no point going about destiny. There is a destiny, there's a chosen path, but it's your own hard work that determines what destiny will shape your future. So I believe that you should work hard, but I'm not believe that only working hard would help. Smart work is required, and smart work would be to achieve the goal by hook or by crook, and the goal would be to clear this examination. So work in a smart manner and ensure that you clear this examination with flying colors, and I'm definitely sure that you would. Thank you very much. Now if anyone has any questions, I'll answer those. What I did was that I focused on the portions that could fetch me the maximum marks. So I did one thing, that I started writing essays right away after I cleared my prelims. So I wrote close to 4 to 5 essays in a week or 10 days time after I cleared prelims. So this was one of the portions that could fetch me the maximum marks. Now you should do one thing, you should have the courage of writing a test series, whatever might be the marks, you should write it down. Then you should evaluate, okay, which were the portions which I'm weak on, because there would be some portions that you are strong because you've already cleared prelims. So you should then focus on the topics which you think are your weaknesses, and then you could reevaluate your own strategy and focus on the subjects which can fetch you the maximum. Supposedly I told you that internal security has a good chance of questions being asked in the mains examination. The other would be modern history. The other would be the international relations IR portion. So focus on those portions first, then attempt a paper. Then you will have a vague idea about which of the topics are my strength, which are my weaknesses. Then focus on the topics which are your weaknesses, and I think you'll be able to cover it up until mains if you follow this strategy.
And do you follow this answer writing on a daily basis, like writing answers?
No, not on the daily basis. I joined the test series, so I could write 2 test papers for every GS paper. But I focused more on the essays. I had 3 essays in the test series, so it was 6 essays, and I wrote close to 10 or 12 more essays on my own, and we peer reviewed. We had a group of 3 people, so we'll send those essays and we'll get it evaluated. So 16 essays I wrote, and 2 for every general studies paper I wrote. I didn't do it on a daily basis, but as far as how the schedule beckoned from me as far as the test series was concerned.
And sir, in your answers, did you use many diagrams and flowcharts? Like, I'm not able to incorporate diagrams and flowcharts in that. I don't know how I should use that. Could you give me some examples?
Supposedly there was a there was an essay on need and greed. So I'd give you an example. What was it? Oh, sorry, it was health and sickness. There was an essay on health and sickness, that health follows sickness and sickness follows health. So I did a simple diagram that, okay, health and sickness are part and parcel of one's life. And I did it that, okay, with health comes sickness and post sickness comes health. Then I wrote it that, okay, vicious or virtuous circle. Now I elaborated on this point that, okay, health and sickness are part and parcel of life, and it happens in everyone's life. Now it depends on you whether you want to turn it into a vicious circle or a virtuous circle. So I did this kind of diagram in one of my essays. Similarly, you can use this kind of simple diagrams in your ethics answer. But do ensure one thing, that in your attempt to draw diagram, you don't leave out 1 or 2 questions, because this might add half a mark in your answer. But if you leave 2, it will lead to a loss of close to 7-8 marks. So only go for the diagram if you're confident you'll be able to attempt every single question. You can draw diagrams for geography, but I won't advise for other answers. Before the prelims, I used to read 2 newspapers, Hindu and Indian Express. I used to read it in close to 2 hours 15 minutes. Post my prelims, I used to read only the Indian Express, but I used to follow the IR section in Hindu, because my optional was PSIR. But you can do one thing, you can go for 2 newspapers before prelims, and you can reduce it down to 1 after prelims and focus more on the static portion for the mains.
And what about the editorial part? Like how you used to use it in your answer writing?
You should be selective as far as editorials is concerned, because I think some of the editorials would be politically sounding, so you should definitely not read those. On some of the IR portions, I used to take a point of view that if there's an India-China issue that might be going on in news, so there would be 2 views on this. So I used to think, okay, this is the author who has a leftist view of this particular issue, so I'll understand that, okay, this is the leftist view, this is the rightist view, and my attempt in the mains would be to take a central path. So I'd do one thing, I'd put up both the opinions, then I'd put their pros and cons, and I'll take the middle path and conclude the answer.
And regarding the economic section, do you use all those facts that were there in the economic section, like about GST or about the GDP, which all given?
See, for the facts, 2 or 3 things should be accurate, because if you aren't accurate and if you still quote those facts, what will happen is that if the examiner has an idea and if he feels that you're bluffing something, it will have a negative impression. So if you are 100% sure, you can quote, but don't litter your paper with just facts, because it's not a fact finding operation. So you should use facts wherever relevant and keep it to the minimum. Yes.
My question is related to the mains answer writing. Suppose like our approach is, because the syllabus is so humongous and huge. In that case, suppose like whenever I read question papers or mains, I know something about it, and I think it is the case with everybody. So like how do you approach that question? Like you don't know everything about it, but you know something in bits and pieces, you know the metrics, but how do you really present that? And in your case, like you must have written it down. So what was your approach, and you think that it really helps you in that?
See, as far as the answer is concerned, you should maintain a standard template. So what I tell you is that you put up a introduction, a body and a conclusion. Now the introduction and the conclusion would be the generalized part. Those would be the facts that you'll be knowing. So if I tell you something that there was a question on Vijayanagar Empire during our time. So I put up the introduction that, okay, during the Krishna, what was it? Krishna Dev Raya time can be considered as a pioneering time as far as the evolution of the Vijayanagar Empire in the southern part of the country is concerned. This is your introduction. This is done. This everyone knows. Then I'm telling you about a question where you don't know anything, 0, how to write those. So introduction, this everyone can attempt, even if you have no idea about this. Now go for this. If you have read NCERT, you will understand that, okay, what are the different topics that are associated with South India. So supposedly if you can, Gopurams are related with South India, so you can put Gopurams, that okay, architecture achieved its pinnacle under Krishnadev Raya with the construction of Gopurams, great palace architectures, and other general architectural forms that you might know. So frame up their answer. So architecture is done. Now go to the cultural portion. Now if you don't know Amukta Malayad by Vijayanagar, by Krishnadev Raya, you can put that okay, he was a great patron of literature. Under his patronage, many poets, writers, intellectuals used to visit Vijayanagar, and that led to an upsurge of literature works during his times. So this is literature you've done. You know Telani Rama from Vijayanagar, somewhere you might would have heard. Quote that. Then you can go for political life, that the Andhra Pradesh region or that region achieved unification under Krishnadev Raya, and that led to greater prosperity. So your body part would be done. Now you put up a conclusion that okay, so thus we can conclude, or we can say that Vijayanagar Empire or Vijayanagar rule under Krishnadev Raya was truly enriching for the development of that particular region, and some of the modern artifacts or modern architecture which we see in modern times take inspiration from those earth. Answer is framed, you will definitely get 3.5, 4 marks, and that would be the maximum marks. So this was my attempt to tell you that there would be 2 or 3 questions in every paper which you don't know an answer to. I'm sure about that. So your ability to make an answer, even if you don't know anything about it, determines whether you score high or not. Any other question? Yeah.
Sir, I would like to start with my questions. Like from first step, so how to go further, what to start, from where to start?
You can do one thing. Up until December or January mid, you can focus particularly on your mains. Supposedly you read essay. If you get time, if you read the newspapers or mains related portion, if you get an opportunity to write an essay, get it evaluated by someone, and devote every day 2 or 2.5 hours just for prelims. So read prelims related stuff, it may be NCRTs, Spectrum, Lakshmikant. So keep on revising those, but focus primarily on mains portion. Post December, in January or maybe in February, you go dedicatedly prelims. Then you don't study mains, just go for prelims. Prelims would be on 3rd of June. So up until that, you go for prelims, complete it thoroughly. And after you are done with your prelims, just build on what you have read during the mains portion, which I told you up until December. So this would ensure that your overall preparation is balanced and you are not focused on just particular portion of the examination. Anyone else?
How do you improve on an essay?
See, first essay that I wrote, I got 100 marks, 50-50. But then I took guidance from Manoj sir, and he told me how to improvise on that. Supposedly, he told me that essay is not about putting up facts, but it's an art of writing. So you should take his guidance primarily. But what I'd convey is that you should go through other toppers' essay as well. So you'll get a brief idea about how they've attempted the essay. You can download online or you can find it in the bookstores. And what other suggestion I'd give is that try to understand or read between the lines of the title, because what will happen is that if you are able to interpret what the examiner is asking, the between the lines kind of idea of the particular title, it will fetch you more marks, because the examiner will understand, okay, you have understood the gist of the essay. So this will ensure that you are able to connect with the examiner, and and he'll be happy that okay, you understood the overall idea and you articulated it well, and it will fetch you maximum marks. Anyone else?
What was the motive behind being an IAS officer? And now, as you are an IAS officer, how it's fulfilled?
See, one of the prime driving force was that I intended to do something meaningful. The corporate job which I was doing was a 9-to-5 job. I was in a closed chain which rotated every single day, and I was doing the same thing over and over again. So I wanted something which was challenging. And I think IAS is I won't say the only job, but few of the jobs in India which can provide you so. And the other driving force was that there's a place named Saputara in Gujarat. So I was visiting there, and I could see the plight of the tribals over there, the kind of penury they are in. They don't even get the basic facilities which we normally ignore or don't take into consideration. So I believe if we are capable enough, our duty should be to defend those who cannot defend themselves. So that, according to me, was the basic motivation behind pursuing this career. Any questions? No. Okay, thank you.